Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen, and we're here with comic Drew Drevyanko. Drew Drevyanko, how the hell are you?
I'm amazing.
Are
Thank
you?
for having me.
Oh, yeah. And if people want to see you do stand-up comedy on stage in New York City, where do they do that? And also, where can they find you online? I know I follow you on Twitter.
Cool. Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Drevyanko, and I have a show coming up next Wednesday at the Stand called Geek and Destroy.
Geek and Destroy. Now,
Yeah.
are you guys a bunch of seemingly geekish personalities on that bill?
Yeah, it's me and my buddy Dan Abraham. We're kind of taking this theme of like weak dudes but strong women because we both kind of look like each of us are in Weezer or something, and we're kind of.
You have the glasses, but you do have a couple feet on me as far as height.
Sure, for sure.
Only in the glasses do you come off like Weezer, like Rivers Cuomo.
Exactly. It's always I do a lot of roast battles and stuff, and people always take like the giant geek. I'm really like the only giant looking geek out there, I think.
Yeah, and so and I guess we'll talk about that in the future. But I can't, some geeks might have been picked on when they were young, but I don't know that many were picking on you because if you didn't have those glasses, you could probably just beat the hell out of any bully back in the day.
Oh man, well, I'm glad you think that, but it was the complete opposite.
You grew too fast. And it was too thin.
I'm afraid of everyone. I've never been in a fight. I pray to God I never will be.
Good.
I am terrified of everyone. I can't stand up for myself. It's a whole thing.
So that's Geek and Destroy. And is some of the, you have other comics on there, or is it just you two?
Yeah, so it's me and Dan hosting, and then we have Mark Normand on.
Holy shit, that's a get. He's pretty big. He's popping now.
Oh, yeah. So we're excited to have him, and we got Sydney Washington. We got Stuart Fullerton, Napoleon Emil. Some other great acts, so it's going to be a great show. It's at the Stand, and
is that this Wednesday?
That is Wednesday the 19th. I don't know when this comes out, but
you'll be able to blow it out to your people probably tomorrow.
Cool.
But yeah, so it'll be in time for the 19th, which is a Wednesday, and it's at the Stand.
At the Stand,
okay.
Yes.
And then is a Geek and Destroy? That's just a reference to you guys might look like geeks. Yeah, you might even talk about being a geek, but also you guys are just destroying with the comedy.
Exactly. Well, we figured the geek was good because Dan and I kind of have a similar look and kind of similar styles in comedy, and so then we were trying to think of titles, and the destroy part made sense too with comedy.
Yeah.
So, and a good pun is
I actually don't always get the double meaning, but that I got immediately. So
yeah, right.
And it's like, are you guys did you pick the comics based on maybe the fact that they might come off as beta rather than alpha,
right?
And are they tweaking their material at all, or is it just you got people with kind of the geek persona coming up?
Yeah, it's kind of just people. Maybe I hate to talk down about anybody, but I would say guys who are anxious and have anxiety, males and stuff, and then women who are kind of have a big presence and stuff, and the alpha female or alpha woman. Someone told me women don't like being called females anymore. I shouldn't get into this whole thing.
They don't?
I don't know. Someone told me that because we were trying to think of things for the poster, and someone was like, "Don't call them females." I was like, "Oh, okay, sorry." But yeah, so Dan and I, it's funny because I'm not really even into sci-fi or Star Wars or anything, or Harry Potter, that stuff. But I do they might be Giants are my favorite band. So there's some stuff that still aligns me heavily with the geek. And so Dan and I are just kind of going to riff up top about topical nerdy stuff, and then comics are just going to do their sets. But I'm excited. It should be a fun night. And
I think we might have Mike Kaplan on soon, and so I was deep diving his catalog, and let me tell you, that was a little bit. It was very smart, and it was proudly nerdy.
We want to get him on definitely for an upcoming show.
Yeah, if you want a consistent branding opportunity, at the very least, Mike Kaplan will be on one Geek and Destroy show. Let's hope.
Absolutely, he is on the list.
Because it's almost like Mark Norman is a little bit too cool now. I don't even
believe.
He's
very cool. That's the thing.
Was he touring around the Kreischer, and did he do Comedians in Cars yet? I almost think I'm seeing him do that.
Got to be soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely probably the coolest guy in the lineup, I'd say. Well, Napoleon's really cool too, but.
And so, is it all men on the show?
No, it's half.
I think
men,
I missed
half women.
Okay, I missed the women names, but
there's
women on there as well, and they're really strong females with a strong female presence.
Yes, exactly.
We don't say female, but they're women.
Exactly.
They're hilarious women, and they're destroying.
Exactly. Everyone's going to destroy, no matter who you are.
And so that's coming up. That's February
19th.
19th.
At 9 o'clock at the stand.
At the stand. And that's Upper West Side?
No, that's Union Square.
What the fuck? What am I thinking about? What's Upper West Side?
Stand Up New York.
Yeah, okay. So
yeah.
The stand is Union Square. That's it's beautiful around there.
Oh, it's great. And
it's one of the better parts of the city.
Too. Okay. The club it's recently redone and open, and the room is just beautiful. So we're honored to have a show there, and we're hoping tickets are moving, so it should be fun.
And so they can find out all about that, and then your Drevyanko across all social platforms?
Yeah, on Instagram, there's an underscore between Drev and Yanko, but I guess I'll spell it Drev as in Victor, Yanko, Drevyanko. So, it looks worse than it really is.
Especially when you separate the Yanko out.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a Drevyanko guy. And so what we're going to talk about today is a little bit geeky, and that is 90s bands and also record collecting and things like that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Weezer. Is that kind of the music that, I don't know what age you are, like how did you even get into 90s bands? Because you look a little bit younger.
Right. Well, it's funny because I always been a music guy for sure since I was a kid. And when I was a teenager, I worked at a grocery store outside of Philly in a town called Norristown, Pennsylvania, where I'm from. And I worked with this dude who was I was in the produce section, of course, the only section to work in a grocery store, I say. But he was my manager, and he was like 10 years older than me probably. So he was like a 90s teenager. And I was listening, I was like 15, 16, but I was listening to like current cool bands like Modest Mouse, Arctic Monkeys, those kind of bands. But then he was like, "Oh, you like those bands? Well, here's the bands the reason those bands exist, the reason the bands you like exist," and handed me like Pavement, Guided by Voices, They Might Be Giants, Dinosaur Jr., like all that stuff, and just handed me like stacks of CDs. And I remember just thinking that this was the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, is just listening to all those bands.
And I was thinking Modest Mouse might have been a little bit, like I think they were on Sub Pop for a while.
Yeah, you could even bridge them as a 90s band.
Yeah, and like the Shins and Modest Mouse.
Exactly,
So that's the stuff you were listening to, and then he brought you into the Pavements and things like that.
Exactly.
And who were some other, Pavement was also like, you said Guided by Voices.
Yeah, Yola Tango.
Yola Tango, man. They sound different on all their releases.
Yeah, it's crazy how consistent they've stayed. They're so relevant still. And They Might Be Giants, as I mentioned earlier. I just saw them at Bowery last weekend. I'm seeing Ween tonight.
Wow.
I got big into Ween recently.
Recently?
Yeah, actually, I kind of slept on them for a long time, but then everyone was like, "You don't listen to Ween?" I was like, "I know I should." And so the past few months, they've actually been all I've been listening to.
And have you been buying their vinyl at some place? Like, what's the hip new place that has closed, but it's also selling vinyl? What the fuck is that place? It's just
what, Urban Outfitters?
Urban Outfitters.
Oh man, it makes me sick.
Yeah. But, so where are you buying vinyl?
Yeah. Well, that was another thing after the latter end of college, and I got a job at a record store outside of Philly called the Vinyl Closet.
Okay.
And it literally started in a closet, and then it was just me and the owner, and then he moved to a bigger store, and then a few years after that, he moved to an even bigger store. So now he's doing really well. I don't work there anymore, obviously.
It's still around.
Still around. Still like unbiasedly one of my favorite stores. But that just got me. I mean, I was making literally minimum wage under the table money, and so I would make whatever $56 at the end of the day, and I would literally spend it all on, because I was living with my parents after college. I would just spend it all on records,
and you'd maybe get a discount, but you still were paying close to full price.
Exactly.
Yeah, I worked in a music store for like maybe 4 or 5 years, but I'm probably much older than you, whereas like these 90s bands were probably contemporary to my time.
Sure.
And so sure enough, like it was one of those really, really indie thing where all the the record store employees are a little bit snobbish with what they're
totally
listening to. And so they'd put on the best promotional CDs ever. Like John Frusciante had a good solo back in the day, but the Glands and Vast and
the Glands.
The Glands are great. Yeah,
they're one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, the Glands are great, because I'm actually probably a bigger fan of the Glands than I am maybe They Might Be Giants, but they like Tragically Hip and things like that.
Yeah, wow.
So I was so the best music played all day long, like Mr. Bungle and the guy from Faith No More. He was in Tomahawk.
Didn't they just reunite? Mr. Bungle, I think, just played Brooklyn Brooklyn Steel or
Oh,
something.
cool. Yeah, dude, everybody. I think even Jesus Lizard might have played it on
Oh, my
New Year's
God.
Eve, and I'm kicking myself. I'm like, why the fuck did I go to the ball drop when I could have seen Jesus Lizard at Brooklyn Steel? And it's in Williamsburg?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the only
yeah.
time I ever looked up the fucking thing, because we used to play, like, I'm in a band, we used to play Trash Bar, and I know that left.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That got priced out, but I'm like, really? There's another good venue in Williamsburg? And everybody good's playing there.
Well, I've seen a ton of great shows there. Saw the Pixies there, Steve
Oh,
Malkmus.
good. Yeah, I was in a Pixies cover band.
No way.
So I can sound like him, and I'm a little bit big like him.
Oh,
and so,
man.
So I mean, I got the Frank Black thing, but I even like his solo catalog.
Oh,
too.
yeah, the Pixies, I mean, they're timeless, man. I still listen to those records all the time.
And do you listen to the new stuff? That's
Does anybody? Well, I always felt like I got into all those bands right at the right time, because it was when all of those, there was kind of a 90s revival where like every good 90s band reunited in like 2010, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I swear in 1 year I saw the reunited Pavement, Guided by Voices, Archers of Loaf, who are a really good band. Yeah, I just remember seeing like a string of all these bands I just got into, and it was like all of their big reunion tours.
And you could not have afforded that when you were working in the produce section.
No. It was that was the simpler time for sure. But so I don't even know how many records I have at this point, but people think I'm crazy when they come over and see my record collection. But it's kind of now that it's collecting is bigger than ever, and kind of more mainstream, some people come over and are super impressed, and they're like, whoa, this is cool. And then other people are like, you haul these to every apartment you move to? I'm like, yeah, I know, it's a whole thing. And it really is the worst part of moving. I just moved into a new place over the summer, and it is like, I remember I had like a few friends help, and they were like, let's just get the fucking records over with first. And you just like,
not the bed, not the couch, not the dresser, not
you're
the
dreading
bureau,
the records more than the grand piano, and I don't
And-
even have one.
And so I guess like right now I'm on Spot. I have like a playlist that I'm slowly making my way through, which has favorites and best. It has maybe 8,000 songs on it.
Yeah.
And so I'm slowly making my way through that alphabetically. But I mean, I couldn't even imagine to have all those things on vinyl. Like, how can you make sure that you're, I don't know, being introduced to new things and listening to it enough? Because I'd be like, I want to play this song. So we'd, get the vinyl out of the sleeve, put it on, try to find the song. I mean, I would almost think it would hamper my veracity for music listening.
Yeah, I mean, I was that guy who was kind of anti-Spotify for a long time.
Because you had your vinyl, man.
I know, and I still rock, man, it is on its last leg, but I still rock an iPod Classic.
Oh, cool. And mine finally just broke.
Really? Yeah.
I've had shuffles forever, to the point where the charger would fuck up, so you'd buy another shuffle. Me and my friend would meet and switch shuffles, and now all of them are finally dead, and you can't get chargers, and they're finally dead.
I think it is on its last leg. I mean, I don't use it like I used to. I just stopped kind of not using it as much, but it's like the battery lasts maybe 2 hours before it just dies. But it's got
sad.
I've got so many bootlegs and live things on my iTunes, and it's so. I worked on that iTunes library for years.
Yeah, some people were pretty. They curated the heck out of that iTunes, and they were sad when it left.
It's really sad. I mean, I unfortunately don't go back to it much anymore, because actually now I'm hijacking my girlfriend's Spotify, so I just have to ask permission if she's not using it, and now now all of her just like recently played is Guided by Voices and They Might Be Giants mixed. She's like, why am I getting recommended like all these fucking weird bands? And I'm like, sorry about that.
And this episode will be on Spotify, so you'll be able to put that on her place. Like, look at this. This is in your recently
I'll
played.
just put it on the queue.
Yeah, you have a great girlfriend, right? You were telling me about her.
Right, yeah. She is great. She's going to be on Geek and Destroy.
Is she?
She's a comic. Yeah.
Now, what's that like?
It's fun, actually. People are always like, how do you date a comic? I'm like, it's great. I mean, because we come home, we talk about comedy. She goes off and does a show. I do a show, and then we kind of meet up. And we moved in together over the summer, so it's it's great. We talk about comedy all the time. And
you're like, don't steal my record playing. Like, dude, I know I have a big collection. Don't make fun of me on stage, because you live with all my records now.
Totally,
it's your child.
Yeah, she kind of she'll make fun of like me being a snob for sure, because it's just inherent that I have to judge your music taste when I meet you, no matter who you are, really. Right. But it's no, she's cool about it, and I mean, I made the records look nice, like they're in a nice big shelves and everything, and I got some cool posters, so it looks nice. It's
I feel like it would be important to women seem to like their habitat to be a little bit more put together than a man. We can be pretty Spartan with our taste. We've been made fun of for being able to live in just a shitty fucking room with our records piled there. But it's nice you put it in a nice. It is more likely to survive if you make it. Pretty,
it legitimately looks nice, and I've
good.
got some stuff set up, some bobbleheads, and some. I have one bobblehead, but I got some cool posters framed above it, and it's kind of all set up. I got a beer bottle. I caught from Bob Pollard of Guided by Voices one time, sitting on top, and so it's very aesthetically pleasing. Like even her friends can come over and be like, "Whoa, these are cool," and it's like I'm just like, "Don't touch it," but they're cool. Yeah, they're
look, but don't touch them. So I guess I was High Fidelity just came out in episodic Hulu form,
right?
And so they're redoing the whole thing, and we both seen the movie. And so if you were Rob, if you were John Cusack's character, what would be your top 5 records?
Man.
On the spot, taking us out, and then they're going to see you at Geek and Destroy on February 19th at the Stand, which is near Union Square, beautiful part of the city.
I believe it's 16th Street.
Okay, 9 o'clock.
Yep.
Mark Norman's going to be on there. Dan Abraham,
I'm co-hosting
and then
with.
Drevyanko, which doesn't sound as awful as,
Not as bad as it looks.
Yeah, occasionally separate the Yanko out if you're on Instagram. But what are the top 5 Drew Drevyanko records?
Wow.
If you can, just off the top.
Gun to my head, I would have to say.
Yeah, end of podcast, gun to your head. That's different. Don't quote him on this because they would have changed if he was given 3 hours of preparation time. Or 3 days of preparation time.
Okay, I gotta go. Truthfully, I gotta go Pinkerton Weezer.
Nice.
I gotta go
Pink Triangle and Get You, the best 1-2 punch of all time. Wasn't that first and second? The lead 2 tracks.
First is Tired of Sex.
Tired of Sex
and
Get You.
Yeah.
Those 2 are probably the best lead-off songs of all time.
That is an album that I can never get enough of. Pinkerton, I gotta say, honestly, I might do a double shot Weezer Blue album. Those, I think those are 2 of the best albums ever.
Dude, I like the later stuff. I mean, I like some of the middle stuff too. I can't say later stuff anymore.
Dude, I just found an original Maladroit on vinyl.
I like Maladroit a lot. I like Green Album a lot.
Green Album's great.
But then at some point it started sucking.
Yeah, I know. That's a whole nother podcast. But
they did an SNL sketch on Weezer with Matt Damon that I thought was pretty funny.
That was so great. That was so great. That was for all of us.
A double shot of Weezer.
Double shot of Weezer, and then I'd say
Across the Sea from Pinkerton might be on a best single list, but we're talking album list. So the other 3 would be rounded out.
I'd have to go probably Alien Lanes, Guided by Voices.
Okay.
I'd probably say Crooked Rain, Pavement, and then. I'm trying to throw a fun one in there that maybe I wouldn't think
You're
of.
just like Rob from High Fidelity.
I know.
Throw a fun one in there.
Something in there that maybe I wouldn't normally put in there.
Times New Viking.
Oh, man. I was just listening to them. Man.
They're loud.
They're great, yeah.
And they're done.
Yeah, I remember hearing a story about them that they handed in one of their albums on a VHS tape. And I was like, that is brilliant.
And then they went on to merge, and I think they were done.
Right.
They went on to a bigger label for 5 seconds, and it didn't work.
Yeah, they're not meant for a major label.
Right, or even a mid. That's like a mid-major.
Yeah.
But the 5th one would be
5. You know what, man? I probably gotta say, you know what? And people might judge me for this. I might say it's really in my top 10 for sure. And for the sake of the pod, I'll just throw it in as 5. Aha Shake Heartbreak by Kings of Leon is one of the best albums ever made. It's funny because I just put it in my CD player in my car. I was back at my parents' house, and where all my CDs are. And I was like, what? I need some new CDs for my car for the drive back to New York. And I grabbed that, and I was like, Aha Shake Heartbreak is one of the best albums of all time, straight through. And Kings of Leon, I think, are maybe the worst band on the planet now. But those first 3 albums, and especially Aha, which is number 2, is phenomenal. Lyrically, melodically, music. It's just the musicianship is great. The riffs,
and some of it might be recency bias. Like I think if I ever, meaning if you just heard it and you hadn't overdone it by then. Like I will play a song, it's great. I'll play it 100 times, it's less great. If I put it aside for 4 years, I go back to it. I'm like, oh, that's great.
The thing.
And so if I ever did, I was always thinking about doing a best songs of all time. Meaning we're just writing a book about it. It would end up being a study of bias.
Yeah.
It'd be like, okay, well, here is why Pitchfork is putting this first. Here's why Rolling Stone is putting this 20th. Here's why I'm no longer.
Ooh.
Here's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I'm no longer putting this song 10th because I listened to it 4,000 times. You know, like War on Drugs or something.
Right.
If I
right.
go on YouTube and listen to that 8,000 times, it might not be as high as it was before the first time I streamed it or whatever. But we will see it Geek and Destroy February 19th, 9:00, The Stand, and across all social platforms, Drevyanko, and sometimes is Drev separate with an underscore from Yanko.
Yes. Twitter straight through Drevyanko. If you like very stupid jokes.
Yeah, about
give it a
music and
follow.
about record collecting and just about geekdom in general.
Absolutely.
Then you're gonna love it. It's Drew Drevyanko. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.